Hi, my name is Sarkis. I'm the pastor here at Indian Valley Assembly of God. Today I'm going to talk to you about preaching. I'm going to give you a 5 to 6 minute overview about what preaching is all about. And certainly from my perspective as a pastor, having pastored now for over 5 years and been teaching for over 10 years now. And so I wanted to share with you, give you a couple highlights in 5, 6 minutes exactly what is entailed in preaching. And the first question really that needs to be answered or addressed is why preach in the first place. And actually, Paul writes about that and he speaks about that. Let me share my screen here. In the book of Romans, chapter 10, verse 14, Paul writes to the Romans, how then will they call on him whom they have not believed? And how are they to believe in him whom they have never heard? And how are they to hear without someone preaching? And so that's a very good question, and that's why Paul is saying preaching is so very necessary to share the gospel, the good news of Jesus Christ. But not everybody has that gift. But however, if that is your gift and you feel like that might be your calling, that God is leading you to that, then that's something to definitely be prepared to give an answer why preach in the first place. But then the next question is, how do you preach? What are the different preaching techniques? Well, that's also a very good question, and the answer to that is that there are two main forms. There are textual and topical forms of preaching. Now, let me explain what the differences are. Textual, as or contextual, what it is you're going to go verse by verse through a book. Like, let's say you're teaching on eschatology, the end times, and maybe you're studying the book of Daniel and you're going verse by verse. And so it's a really powerful method of teaching because it helps you kind of keep track of what each verse says, and stay within the context, to the confines of that. Topical, on the other hand, is like me teaching a concept like, I don't know, love. Let's say I want to talk to you about love. Now, the benefits, and I'm mostly a topical preacher, and in the topical format, what you do is you go and you find verses that speak on love. So you're not just focused on one book, you want a whole from Genesis all the way to the book of Revelation, you're looking at verses that talk and speak about love. But not only that, you can then branch out from there to talk about the way God shows love for Israel through Exodus, for instance. And so you have all these different techniques. But whatever the technique that you want to use, you want to set aside the time and the effort to be able to meditate on the word and pray about it before you're preaching, because I think that is very, very important, that you go to that place, to that tabernacle, to that quiet place with the Lord, and just have the Lord tell you what it is that He wants you to speak on. Because we can prepare a sermon, and I've done this sometimes where just it wasn't God, it was just flat. So you want to be careful of that. However, how you preach is also very important, and you need to keep that in mind. Let me share my screen again with you, and I want to share with you what Paul writes to the Corinthians. He says, if I speak in the tongues of men and of angels but have not love, I am a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. If I give away all I have, and if I deliver up my body to be burned, but have not love, I gain nothing. Now that is a very scary verse, in that we need to remember it's not just about your preaching; it's about how you preach. And he goes on to say, in fact, right here in 2 Corinthians, in his for we proclaim, for what we proclaim is not ourselves, but Jesus Christ as Lord, with ourselves as your servants for Jesus' sake, right? So he's saying that you need to just bear that in, or keep that in perspective of why are you preaching. And as good as an orator you might be, as good of a preacher you might be, somebody else is better than you. So it's not like you're gonna do anything, because it's not about you, it's about the Holy Spirit. And if you are in prayer to the Lord, with working with the Holy Spirit, he will guide you in what to preach on. uh, but there are dangers to this, like prosperity preaching, and we've seen the results of this. The fruit of this is pretty bad, and that's why partly we're seeing the apostasy that we're seeing in the church today. And I look forward to seeing you in my next 5-minute video.